I clicked the links for Odysee and BitChute. What's remember that It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where D is asking the guy, will these wood shears cut through bone? Will wood chippers chip up bone too? I don't know. Hardwood's pretty tough, but so is bone. I don't know. Everyone deserves due process, and there's a reason we have sworn testimony and penalties for perjury. You can't just call somebody names without some sworn testimony to back it up, even if they look like that. So Dan Schneider. So what's the deal with Hollywood and struggle snuggling women and kids? Jerry Seinfeld for the 90s, I'm sure, would have been a far left whack job. Nowadays, would be considered far right because the window just keeps moving to the left at light speed. And with these people who attack women and children, should we put them in the wood chipper feet first or head first? I'm not a sadist. I would put them in head first. First of all, if your kid is in Hollywood, you keep eyes on them 24/7, plus their social media, plus their cell phone, because this guy's got a history of texting kids, which is a bit weird. Text or agent, buddy. Or you just don't do it. No amount of money is worth an Epstein or Weinstein situation. Epstein would go feet first. Now, there are more than the obvious reasons why an adult shouldn't be around child actors. It's not necessarily that one reason. It might just be they've got a filthy mouth. They don't know how to act around kids. They don't know age-appropriate humor. They say stupid things. There are a lot of jerks in the world. It doesn't necessarily make them actual Epsteins or Weinsteins. But let me just toss something out there. Why are kids even watching anything? And I never would have considered even saying that a few years ago or a few decades ago before Disney changed. But once the soul of a company gets slowly bought out by globalists, well, it becomes a globalist company. Disney used to be a family-friendly show. Yeah, well, those days are long gone, like decades past. Now, every new kids show is run by globalists who are pushing BLT stuff for your kids. And people just mostly seem to be like, oh, well, it's just the way of the world. I know that TV is the electric babysitter, but maybe there's a better model. If you have to go digital, I know the convenience of, putting a kid in front of a tablet. Maybe there could be like an approved digital torrent of kid-safe cartoons from the past up until things got weird with trans beavers and my 3 butt-humping hobbit dads. Like, you could have a 256 gigabyte, flash card or flash chip or SD, micro SD, with a lot of shows, like for the life of the kid up until they get to a certain age where they can, you can expose them beyond that. It's like an approved torrent. Like, this is family friendly approved. And you'd have to look very closely at the people who are doing the approving. So it wasn't that long ago that kids weren't raised with TV or kids TV or streaming shows, or just go back before TV. Kids were much more intelligent before TV. If you read writings from 100 years ago, the difference is shocking in the word choice, the syntax, the sentence structure, and the language usage of like Latin, Greek, French is just being understood by these writers. It's a bizarre comparison between modern writers. Modern writers feel like they're a standard deviation, a step to the left of the bell curve. And me complaining about propaganda in kids shows, did you see cuties? Feels like rearranging deck chairs on the Titanic, because it's like, don't even get me started on cuties because I'll lose my fucking mind. Because it's like arguing over the healthiest junk food. Put them all in a goddamn wood chipper. What if showing kids videos in any form isn't healthy for development? We have access to more information in theory. After a legal due process, don't swap me, bro. We have access to more information in theory now, but we're dumber than we were 100 years ago. In theory, we have access to information. In practice, 100 years ago, people were reading much more complicated, information-dense books. If you're looking at, like, what books did they have on the bookshelf? They had the Bible, Old and New Testament, and they maybe had a farmer's almanac and maybe some other stuff, but you're talking about a very limited bookshelf. So what were kids reading? They're reading the Bible. It's like, it doesn't matter the content. It's that the word choice, the structure was information dense and complicated. It doesn't matter what you study. It just matters that you study, which is why universities are trying to do away with the classics. You think, what's the classics? They study Greek and Latin. What's the big deal? It's a huge, huge deal to study, to know the lexicon, the nomenclature of a language, puts you at a tremendous advantage over people who do not have that depth and breadth of vocabulary. I didn't study the classic, but if I look back on it, I'm like, I probably should. I would have loved it. If I had the choice of watching BLT cartoons or racist cartoons, and I wasn't a very gifted student. I did get a BS, but it was like science was probably easier than the classics. Or racist cartoons as a kid, I would rather watch the racist ones. When I was a kid, I would have thought the BLT stuff was gross. It just would have, I don't know, as kids, you see these kind of things, it's just like hair on the back of your neck goes up, like, just gives you a funny feeling, and it's a bad funny feeling. Like, these people are gross. You don't want to be around people who look like that. It would not have set well with me. There's something a bit suspect about introducing sex in any form to kids at all. Oh, my two dads. It's natural and normal. It can wait. It can wait until they're 16 or something. I don't know. Kids are very impressionable. They're going to see stuff, and it's just monkey see, monkey do. You see little boys dressing up and putting on makeup on TV or tablet or whatever, a little kid will be like, oh yeah, I want to do that too. It's like, there's no harm in like, this is going to be weird. There's probably no harm in a boy doing that, dressing up, playing makeup. I probably would have loved to do that as a kid. The harm comes in when someone says, oh, now you're a girl. No, you're just having fun. You're wearing makeup and dresses, and there's probably a limited time in childhood when that's fun. I want to be a vampire now. I love to dress as Satan as a kid. I had a pitchfork, and I just loved satanic stuff as a kid. It just wasn't like, not the way you think of it. It was just cute, fun silliness. I loved that look. As a kid, it just didn't connect. It's like, the problem comes is when the teachers go, oh, should we call you by her pronouns or female pronouns? It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Well, I know what's wrong with these people. I can't say it on YouTube. And maybe introducing sexual content to kids has a nefarious purpose, which is hard to believe because Hollywood seems to have such high ethics and a moral code when they're not doing cocaine and hiding dead hookers. Yes, of course, Hollywood is coming for your kids. Everything they do should be presumed to be evil because, come on, they usually are evil people. I just wonder when people are going to reach the effort point and give kids old-fashioned books to read and ban videos until they're older. The potential for subversion and abuse by Hollywood vermin is actually pretty high. The thing with Nickelodeon and all these kids programming heads, if you take a look at their backgrounds, you're going to find out they're bad people with a bad history. Is that cool for YouTube? So the other side of the coin are the child actors themselves. Like, if you just banned kids actors, maybe that would be for the best. I mean, really, what's the freaking loss? It seems like a good way to protect kids from Epstein types. That's just an easy solution that a country may consider, but America is just a commercial zone controlled by bankers, media, and big tech who say that sexualizing kids is our strength. Yeah, this is another article, but I'll probably do this on the other channel. This is where we are now. And this lady she looks not very stable. I get a funny vibe about her. It seems that the far left wants socialism, but with the exploitation of kids, while the right might entertain the idea of a different economic system, but with nationalism, and of course without the degeneracy of abusing women and children, or boys, or men too. I mean, if you're a good-looking, skinny dude in Hollywood, you might be Weinstein also. And let me just toss out some crazy ideas here now that I'm at minute 9, and I don't know, 70% of the audience is probably tuned out of this tinfoil hat rant. Crony capitalism got us to where a secret cabal of billionaires actually run the country, and the wealth disparity is insane. Do you think it's healthy for a country to have homeless people on one end of the spectrum and people with $20 million mansions on the other? I suspect that wealth differentials like that are not good for a country or its long-term success. It seems to be asking for a revolution where if you have enough people on one side of the economic spectrum saying, yeah, this is screwed up. You're going to have to we want this. It's like there's 200 million of us. Like, okay, well, they're just going to take it. So, I mean, you could just bypass that by starting to fix things. The reason to get in such an odd topic on a Sunday, no less, is because parents are letting their kids be actors and subject to Epstein, Weinstein types. Because, and, you know, this Schneider guy, I don't mean to defame him. He's entitled to due process also. It's like he might just literally be a creep and not an Epstein. There's a whole, you know, you got to have sworn testimony. The reason the parents are letting their kids be actors is because the money that is in play for TV shows and streaming shows is huge. Even at the small level, you're talking, there's it's like, oh, hey, the kid was an actor for 6 years and you know, he bought 3 homes and, you know, lives in one and 2 are rental properties. But maybe something is wrong with a country where they make films that makes a handful of people ultra wealthy such that they create Epstein, Weinstein types who can isolate themselves with that much money while preying on women and children. It feels like multifaceted fuckery is afoot. So many facets, wood chipper, that it might be better to figuratively burn it down and start it over. Literally. If Dan comes back to Hollywood, he's coming back to a time of trans drag kids where children dance around for adults, and it's celebrated as stunning and brave by globalist media and Hollywood, where a man, an adult human male, is legally allowed to shower with women in a San Francisco spa. Thank God it was a black woman who filmed it. Being black saved her from getting destroyed by the mob. For now, eventually, the optics of Antifa attacking a black woman are not great right now, but eventually they're going to have such righteous indignation that they'll just call a black woman who doesn't want to see a swinging set of nuts a wrecker of progress. And so it's not racist when we do it. And the MAGA tards, oh, the left are the real racists the whole time. Oh, God help me. I'm losing my mind. So some people go protest outside the spa and Antifa attacks them. And the funny thing about this Antifa crew is they were all morbidly obese. Like, I could tell the women were over 200 pounds. They were just round balls of lard. And the men were even fatter. Like, all of them were dressed in black, but morbidly obese, running around attacking people. It's hysterical. Antifa attacked the elderly Asian man who was watching the clown show. They ran up to him and attacked him. He defended himself, and so they called him a fascist. So Antifa enemies are a elderly Asian man and a black woman who isn't cool with a man showering in the ladies' room. The clips are on YouTube for now, and eventually, if YouTube gets rid of things that show the wrong narrative, like those guys who closed down a highway the other night. It's like that's in and out of the news in femtosecond because they're the Moors. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, if you're against swinging hairy nuts in the ladies' shower, these are lady balls. No, they're not. Then you're going to get attacked by Antifa. How do I say this? Look at the totality of the circumstances on this slippery slope we're on. Just start looking into the future a little bit. Kids are already dancing in front of adults. Literally the dancing boys of San Francisco and LA. So what's the next step? The Epstein step. They already had to legalize it in, I gotta be careful with this, overseas because of a new need for adults to have child brides. Is that as far as I can go? Or every video is going to be like, eventually there's going to be a last video. It just is what it is. As I say, go to Odysee and BitChute. All this creeping liberal degeneracy is finally catching up to where Epstein, Weinstein, and Schneider maybe are just accepted in Hollywood, where women and you know, you don't want to call someone something. The most reprehensible thing you can be called is, you know, someone who hurts children. Just because he's a jerk. Like, if he might be a creep around kids, but there's a whole spectrum to saying, and it sounds like he's a control. He sounds like he's a jerk, an out jerk, and creepy. But that's a whole different. There's an order of magnitude. You know, you don't delete people for that, like Epstein. You just don't want, you just get them out of an industry around kids. But if he wants to come back to that industry, it's like, well, who do you think controls Nickelodeon? Who do you think runs Nickelodeon? Filthy, filthy people. It seems like women and children are just like sacrificed to these vermin as part of life in Hollywood. It's better to get rid of Hollywood, or better yet, just get rid of the vermin that prey on women and children. Or, you know, if you're a good-looking dude, you're probably, that's a rough time. And I'm not saying this Schneider guy is in Epstein territory. He might just be a weirdo who's like James Gunn or Biden. He just doesn't know what is appropriate for, I don't know, age appropriate or appropriate for the year we're in. Though Biden has been told not to touch people repeatedly, and it's like he continued on. He's just, but his mind is pudding. So even Hollywood scumbags deserve due process. You can't just throw people in wood chippers because they look like degenerates. Though honestly, it would clean up the gene pool. But Schneider is possibly coming back to Hollywood in a time where #MeToo is on the way out, because like 74% of the men accused were the wrong people in Hollywood to be accused. They were, I don't know, like Hollywood's guys. They were the DNC's people. And plus Biden was accused and seen on camera harassing children and women. But oddly enough, I think only European and Asian women were creeped on by him. Schneider is coming back into a very target-rich environment with a lot more permissiveness now than it ever was before. But I'm sure Alan Dershowitz, Kurt Eichenwald, Jeremy Tubin will go to bat for him or whatever. You should just, like, if the stuff I edit out is insane. It's like, why don't you go on a live stream? Why don't you go on a live stream? Because. Yeah, maybe for BitChute or Odysee live streams, but or maybe a YouTube live stream would be like, okay, just take it down immediately afterwards. Like, yeah, I'll go on a live stream if you remove it immediately afterwards. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys. Got Odysee, BitChute. Thanks for support on Coffee, and continue to do so. Give till it hurts. Just kidding. See you guys next episode.